So you're standing in front of an OD grinder, and your job today is to grind a part with an OD and a face, or a flange as we call it. Why is that important? Why is the flange important? Because if you don't do it correctly, you can end up with a taper on here. I'm talking about on the face, not on the OD, but it won't be flat. It can be perpendicular to our OD, but not necessarily flat this way. Let me show you what I mean by that. Here's our point of reference. That's the bed of our table. And here's our headstock and our tailstock. And as a rule, the tailstock wears in the OD grinder because it's always sliding back and forth, and it ends up being lower than the headstock center. How do we fix that? If you're grinding the OD only, you can fix that by taking the taper out. Does that mean anything? Well, it sort of kind of does, but it doesn't, it's not that important. And let me show you what I mean by that. Here's your grinding wheel, and a pretty good grinding wheel, huh? There's our center. When we're at this end, our point of tangency is going to be 90 degrees, like so. When we're over here, because it's lower, remember, it's lower now, so it's going to be tangent in a different spot. Does that mean anything? No, but it's good to know. Why is it good to know? Well, let's look at our grinding wheel. Here's our grinding wheel. Again. When we're grinding like so, before we've made our adjustments, Glenn, which side do you think is going to be bigger when I move this along our reference line?
The right side.
Correct. The right side is going to be larger in diameter, so we can get the taper out by moving the adjustment on the machine. Remember, there's a knob over there. We turn that, and that moves that table in. So that's how we get the taper out. So, yes, we're grinding it, and the center is below where it needs to be. Does it matter? Not really. So if I'm grinding this shaft, it doesn't matter if the point of tangency is here and over at this end it's a little lower. I can still move the table in and out to compensate for that. But where it is important is if we're trying to get a crosshatch or crisscross pattern like this. You get a good shot of that?
Right on it. Okay.
Good. So, in this case, we're going to grind this guy. And we've got to grind the OD, and we've got to grind the flange. Here's kind of what it would look like. If you're standing at the machine, as you are, Glenn, and here's our wheel, and our part is cocked. So we are basically going to be grinding an angle on there. It's going to be tapered, whether you're this way or this way. How do we fix that? Easy. The first thing we do is we adjust our tailstock to make sure that we get it square to the part, or square to the wheel rather, like so. So we move the tailstock with shim stock at one end, and we raise it up so it is now pretty much square with the wheel. If we do that, if it's touching here, for example, this is the pattern you're going to get on your part. If it's touching down here, you're going to get this kind of a pattern. And when you put the two together, you get a crisscross, like so. Not a very good crisscross, but you get the idea. That will only happen if the tailstock is adjusted so it is perfectly square with the wheel. That's the only way it's going to happen. Can't happen any other way. If you have to grind a flange, my recommendation is this. A, deal with the crisscross first. Shim your tailstock up to get the crisscross pattern. And it's easy to see. Actually, you can watch it on the machine. And again, if you just look at this, you'll be able to figure out whether it's at the top or at the bottom, whether you need to raise it up or bring it down. Once you do that, now you get the taper out. To get the taper out, take a look at the video that we did a few months ago on how to get the taper out of an OD grinder. That shows exactly how to do it and how to do it without grinding the part. Supposing you only have a few thousandths on your part and you've got to take off 2/1000ths, let's say, you don't have enough stock in there to grind it to get the taper out. But there's a magic way to do it, which we were thrilled to share with everybody. We've got a lot of great comments on it. It's a great trick. Take a look at that video. That's how you get the taper out. So one, get your crisscross pattern on your flange first, if you have a flange that you need to grind. Secondly, get the taper out, grind your part. You're cool to go. Thanks for watching.